Have you ever noticed that a smell or a sight or a sound can transport you back to somewhere else? You're suddenly in a moment with feelings and emotions that maybe you'd not had for a long time. Something like that happened to me recently. My brother found a recipe of a cake that my mum used to make. My mum passed away about 5 years ago, and Paul baked the cake. And I was so excited when I saw it on our family WhatsApp that he'd done this. And then even better, he delivered some of the cake to our house in some foil. And we sort of gathered round and opened up the foil, and the smell, well, I was sort of back in my mum's kitchen, and those sort of Saturday afternoons when she'd be baking when I was a child, and all those feelings and emotions and hundreds of memories just from the smell of a cake. Sometimes we have links in life that sort of transport us back to how we used to feel or how we used to think. It was sometime after Easter, and Jesus had appeared to the disciples on a few occasions now. He told them to head up north and to meet again in Galilee. And Peter at the Last Supper, he'd said to Jesus, I'll never deny you. Even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you. And Jesus had said to him, well, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times even before this night's out. And he did. And he sat in a courtyard of the high priest while Jesus was being examined and tried. And he sat near this charcoal fire, and he denied Jesus. And Jesus had appeared on a number of occasions after the resurrection, and he'd never mentioned it. It's like one of those situations where you know that they know, and they know that you know that they know, but nobody's mentioning it. It's an elephant in the room. And Jesus had said to the disciples, I want you to head back up north, where it all began, where I called you at Galilee. And Peter especially, you need to be there. Well, they head up to Galilee, and I wonder what Peter was thinking. I kind of think he was maybe thinking, is this it? Is he just taking me back to Capernaum, back to my home, and he's going to say, Peter, it's been fun, it's been great having you with me for 3 years, but I can't really use a disciple who denies me. I can't really use a disciple who won't stand up in the moment when I most need him, who falls asleep even before that when I'm asking him to pray. So Peter, thank you for the last 3 years, but back to the fishing business. And I wonder if Peter had sort of swung from a view of himself that was too high, I'll never deny you, to a view of himself that was too low, I'm going to get the sack, I'm done. Our mental well-being is enhanced when we have good self-awareness. And Peter, I don't think, had that at this point. And he's gone fishing. They've gone back up north. He's gone fishing one night, and some of the disciples go with him. They've been fishing all night. They've caught nothing. And it's coming to morning. They're pulling up towards the shore, and in the distance they can see this figure on the beach, and it's Jesus. He's built a fire. He's cooked some breakfast, and he shouts. And he shouts. It's sort of like a colloquialism. He shouts, "Hey lads, you've caught nothing, have you?" And they say, "No, nothing." And he says, "Well, throw the net on the other side." And they do, and they catch a huge catch of fish, just like they did at the start. And the memories are flowing. Peter jumps out the boat, he runs to meet Jesus, and they have breakfast together. And breakfast is done. Disciples are milling around on the beach. And Jesus invites Peter to sit near the fire. There's only 2 places in the Bible where the word of a charcoal fire is used. One is in the courtyard where Peter denies Jesus, and the other is on this beach. And Jesus recreates the scene in some ways. The fire's burning, the same smell, the same sounds. And he asks Peter 3 questions. In the Gospels, Jesus asks 370 questions, and he doesn't need the information. He asks questions to help us to think things through. And he asks Peter 3 questions near the fire. It's interesting that, because Peter had denied Jesus 3 times. In our language, we only have one word for love, I think, but in the Greek language, there's 3 or 4. So, you know, I love God, I love curry, I love Jackie, my wife, I love Everton. But it's different, but we use that one word. Whereas they had a word phileo for friendship, love. They had words for relational and sexual love. They had words for unconditional love. And Jesus knew this. And so he asked Peter some very subtle questions. He says, Peter, do you love me? Do you agape me? Do you love me unconditionally? He's teasing out him, how do you really feel? And Peter says, Jesus, you know I phileo you. I love you like a friend. So Jesus asks him again, Peter, do you agape me? Do you love me unconditionally? And Peter says, Jesus, you know I phileo you. I love you like a friend. And then Jesus says, Peter, do you phileo me? Do you love me like a friend? And Peter says, you know all things, Lord. You know I love you like a friend. And Jesus comes to us where we are, not where we wish we were or the depths that we think we're in, but really where we are. And he deals with the issue. He helps Peter to know, hey, I know, but there's grace, there's forgiveness, there's another chance. He's not going to get the sack. In fact, he points him to an even better future. He deals with the elephant in the room. And I guess in lockdown, there'll be times in our homes and families where there'll be an elephant in the room, and we need to deal with it well and sensitively and ask good questions. But also maybe on another scale, maybe you've drifted away from God. Maybe you've made decisions and choices, said you'd do things, you've not done them, and you're finding it hard to forgive yourself. I wonder today whether Jesus just wants to have a conversation with you and to reinstate you, to give you a good self-awareness of where you are with him and invite you into a better future. Have a fantastic day. God bless.